So, Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to ISKCON West, extension chapter of ISKCON Seshadripuram, outpost of ISKCON Seshadripuram. It's been an amazing journey so far, last 2.5 years. Of course, offline and online, but overall, the experience has been fantastic. We have been covering every verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the last 2.5 years. Now we have reached to the 6th chapter. Today we will discuss verse number 18 and 19 today. We will discuss verse number 18 and 19 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter. 6th chapter entitled Dhyana Yoga. The verse number 18 and 19 we will discuss. Share the screen now. Read the verse. Yada viniyatam chiddam yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva vatishtate nishprahah sarva kamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tada yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva tishtate nishprahah sarva kamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tadha yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva vatishtate nishprahah sarva kamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tadha. Word by word meaning. Yada, when. Viniyatam, particularly disciplined. Chittam, the mind and its activities. Atmani, in the transcendence. Eva, certainly. Avatishtate, becomes situated. Nishprihaha, devoid of desire. Sarva, for all kinds of. Kamebhyaha, material sense gratification. Yuktaha, well situated in yoga. Iti, thus. Uchyate, is said to be. Tada, at that time. Translation. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfectional stage can automatically be attained by persons in Krishna consciousness, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18 to 20. Savai manah Krishna padara vindayor vasamchi vaikunta gunanu varnane karau harer mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakara achyuta satkato daye mukunda lingalaya darshane drishau tad bhriktya Gatra Sparshe Anga Sangamam Grihanam cha tat pada saroja saurabe Srimad Tulasya Rasanam tad arpite Padau Harehe Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabhivandhane Kamam cha Dasye na tu kama Kamyaya Yato Uttama Sloka Janashtraya Ratihi. King Ambarisha first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then, one after another, he engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord. His hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing of the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental forms of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his senses, his sense of smell in smelling the scents of the lotus flower offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. This transcendental stage may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of the engagements of Maharaja Ambarisa. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagements. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind as described above is the perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in the Bhagavad Gita. Verse number 6.19. Yatha deepo nivatasto nengate supamasmrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. Yatha deepo nivatasto nengate sopamasmrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. Yata dipo nivatasto nengate sopamasmrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. Word by word meaning. Yata, as dipaha, a lamp. Dipaha, a lamp. Nivatastaha, in a place without wind. Nivatastaha, in the place without wind. Na, does not. Ingate, waver. Sa, this. Upama, comparison. Smrita, is considered. Yoginaha, of the yogi. Yata chittasya, whose mind is controlled. Yunjataha, constantly engaged. Yogam, in meditation. Atmanaha, on transcendence. Translation. by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remain always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Purport: a truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादा सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखा वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि ओम तत्सत। So this verse So the previous week we saw two verses. There it was saying what are the impediments of becoming a yogi. One said there is no possibility of one becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. And then it also gave how these things should be done, where it is said, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all miserable material pains by practicing the yoga system. So that we saw. So in this process, when someone is actually trying to follow the yoga ladder, not yoga ladder, particularly the dhyana yoga or the ashtanga yoga, when someone is practicing with all the do's, all the don'ts, whatever is the process that is being mentioned here, just like, one has to be a celibate, one should sit in a secluded place, one is control his breath, one should look at the tip of the nose, and one should study his mind, then in like this so many things, and then where it said, what are the other requisites, like you should not eat too much, you should not sleep so much and all that. And it is talking about by doing this process, he basically by regulating the activities by the process of yoga, controlling the mind and the body and the intelligence through this process of yoga, what is he achieving as a stage? That he can mitigate all material pains. That means the pains arising out of our indulgence in this material world with the understanding that we are the body. Such a pain is actually relieved for such a person. That is what we finished last week. And then this week goes a little more further. When such a when the yogi, by practicing the yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in trance. So in that specific process of doing this with clearly with that objective, working towards that, following what the do's and don'ts, a person comes to the stage of perfecting that yoga. At that stage, he is situated in transcendence. Transcendence means in the transcendental world or in the spiritual world, devoid of all material desires. That means at that point in time, he is being able to control his senses. He does not at that point in time act in the bodily platform. Devoid of all material desires. Because bodily platform means desire. Every sense, different desires. That's the understanding when we are in the bodily platform. But we want to correct that understanding to have the real understanding that I am not the body, but I am the self. And when he follows this process, he reaches to this point of spiritual point. That means I am Aham Brahmasmi. I am the spirit soul. And that concept he comes into, and that is referred to as coming to this point of spiritual platform. And at that stage, naturally, it is understood that he is already completely devoid of any material desires. It is all spiritual desires from here on. He says it is said he is said to be well established in yoga. When a person reaches that perfectional stage, I don't know if it is perfectional stage or at least comes to that platform of not being the bodily platform but situated in the soul platform, he is said to be well established in yoga. Now Prabhupada here is writing about Bhakti Yogi, right? The Prabhupada, if you see, is writing about the Bhakti Yogi. So when you have completely renounced all your material activities, but you are having the material senses, then what is the point of having these senses, right? Now, therefore, the Mayavadis are those who are actually the people who are in the impersonal thing. They basically actually are thinking, therefore, this body itself is condemnable. So, this body's existence itself is waste, right? This is how they are able to perceive this whole thing, because I am not the body. The senses are not supposed to be the real thing, and therefore, by engaging in these senses, I am actually cheating myself, and therefore I don't want to engage these senses at all. Therefore, let me simply renounce every activity from every sense, or let me keep everything away from the senses. So he renounces everything in that mode, as though everything is untouchable. Like, only if I touch this, I am getting into problem, no? Right? If I use my tongue and taste this gulab jamun, then I am getting into problem because it pulls me into this thinking that I am the body. Therefore, let me not touch that gulab jamun at all. Like this, every other activity. So he completely wants to renounce everything, but he is actually in this senses, but does not want to use them in a very literal sense, right? This is what is the impersonalist does. But whereas a personalist, he has no such mental concoction or no such avastha, if you ask me really. Here is a gulab jamun sitting in front of you, and then, if you don't eat it, what avastha it is, it's just a very big pain. Because if you can try to control it, but it is, the desires never go away in one sense, really. So what is the point of just trying to control? So it's always waiting to burst, right? One day or the other it will burst. So it's very difficult that way. Vishwamitra, when he was, he first made one mistake. He was trying to do, and then one lady came, and then she distracted him by the whatever, the sex desire, and then he fell for her, and 10 years or whatever number of years he spent with her, like, he married her and he spent. This is sent by the Indra to distract, because he is really trying to get enormous power. And Indra is worried. Oh my God! Then I will lose my uh, position, because this man will become even more powerful than me. That was his worry. Therefore, he sent this lady, and she came and easily distracted him. He has been in tapasya for thousands of years, but one lady came and easily distracted him. So then, after living for 10 years with her, then he realizes, oh my God, what a mess. For this little taste, I have actually lost 10 years of my tapa. It's all gone now, like that he thinks. And then he then goes back into further, okay, this time I will not falter, I will be careful. He goes into this meditation. At that point in time, Indra again gets worried at some stage where it is very, very strongly, his tapa is growing, uh, uh, strength is growing very much. He decided, this time let me send another woman. So this time when that woman comes and then she tries to distract him, this time he is not taken by lust. He understands, oh, this lust is actually, but he gets angry at that lady, and he gets angry at Indra. How come that these two people are, these people are trying to disturb me? And he gets really angry, and immediately his tapo goes. Then he realizes, what a folly. That means I have Kama I have won, but Krodha I have not won. Right? So each one is one aspect of the point that I am the material body. So after that renouncing his conquering Kama, he has again fallen for Krodha. Then go back to the drawing room. Again he sat. So this is in his endeavor to become a Raja Rishi, because he was having this problem with Vishwamitra Muni, right? Again, in relation to uh, what's his name, Vasishta. He was having problem with Vasishta. So he wanted to prove that I am a better or equal, to Vasishta. So he wanted to become the Brahma Rishi, not Raja Rishi. He wanted to become Brahma Rishi. Vasishta is a Brahma Rishi, but there is nobody equal to him in that Rishi, Brahma Rishi. So he wanted to become, because he had been beaten by Vasishta without any army, nothing, but he lost in front of Vasishta. When he was a king, and even when he was as a saint, he lost. Then he realizes, no, he gets a position of a Raja Rishi later by his Tapovalima. He gets the position of Raja Rishi, but he is not satisfied. He wants to therefore get to the Brahma Rishi's thing, because he is doing this more and more, and then Brahma again comes, and then thing happens, I will give you Brahma Rishi designation. Then he said, no, yeah, I will give you Raja Rishi designation. But then he is not happy with that. No, that Vasishta is actually a Brahma Rishi, so I want to become a Brahma Rishi. And I want to be acknowledged by Vasishta that I am a Brahma Rishi, like that he thinks. So he goes back to the drawing room, and then this third time he actually performs this, again, lot of tapasya. But in the process, again, I think Indra, one other lady appears, another beautiful lady he sends. But this time, when he opens and sees this beautiful lady, he pays obeisances to her. So he has conquered anger, he has conquered lust. He has come to that very amazing stage. And then Brahma later appears, and then, okay, I acknowledge this, that, you are a Brahma Rishi, like this. So this is Vishwamitra story. So the point here is, Vishwamitra, as long as he was in that mood, or any yoga who is in that mode of impersonalism, that, while you understand that I am the spirit, but you are not understanding the form of the Lord. You are looking at Lord as the impersonal feature of the Lord, or Brahma Jyoti feature of the Lord. Then that person has a challenge. Therefore, he tries to, negate. Prabhupada uses this word, right? Negate all material engagement. But Vaishnava does not have any of this problem, or one who's a personalist or who's a devotee of the Lord. He's got no problem like that. That's why Prabhupada is using this quote. Well established in yoga is not simply renouncing material desires. It is about engaging in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Apologies. So he is quoting this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is speaking about the King Ambarisha. So he used all his senses very well, but he was still someone who is completely in transcendence. or who is completely not in material desires. How is it possible? That's the question, right? Idea is the minute you use your sense gratification, uses your senses, then you are considered a sense gratifier. But how is it that when you are using your senses, how can you be not a sense gratifier? So that is actually demonstrated by King Ambarish, where he engaged his mind, which is also one of the senses. He engages his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and like that, one by one, all his senses he is engaging in the service of Krishna. That means his words or the tongue in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, cleaning the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental form of the Lord. And his body in touching the bodies of the devotees. This is something, very unique. Like, uh, even the sparsha of the devotee is very, very, very auspicious. Like, when we touch a devotee, shake his hand, or, when you just in a friendly manner, we embrace the devotees, right? We just hug the devotees. Those are very, very, very auspicious in the sense, we get that because that body of the devotee is already, you know, I mean, at various stages of spiritualization, which means it is extension of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Therefore, it's very, very nice. Some verses, I think, somewhere in Bhagavatam also it is being discussed that you see this in many places. So you embrace the devotee. Here it is mentioned that his body in touching the bodies of the devotees. He senses some. I mean, if you are a non-devotee, you will understand this very differently. Like what is this touch, body in touching the bodies of the devotees? What is the meaning of this? But this is the real thing. When we serve the spiritual master by massaging his lotus feet, right? Um, any such thing like massaging the head, massaging the arm, massaging the legs of the spiritual master. We may look at it, oh, why are this fellow me doing menial service? But we should understand that spiritual master's body is completely spiritualized. He is so much absorbed in Krishna, and that body is fully spiritualized. And when you touch that body, it is as good as touching Krishna. And I have seen when you touch these devotees, they are so soft. Their hand, leg, whatever, you touch them, they are so soft. How come that it is so soft? Ours is like hard. My buddhi is hard, our heart is hard, everything is hard. But thus, the nice pure devotees, Prabhupada, people have touched Prabhupada and said, what is this? It's like butter. Prabhupada, when you touch Prabhupada, it's like that. It's there. If Guru Maharaj, you'll see this. So that means they are so very perfected their lives, and therefore touching them is equivalent to touching Krishna. So in that sense, it is mentioned here. So his sense of smell is smelling the scent of the lotus flower offered to the Lord. Lotus flower offered to the Lord here. Any flower that is offered to the Lord, like we take, right? When the aarti is happening, they bring the flowers. Then we smell the flowers. Or if you are giving a class, they put a garland. We smell that garland, right? That's offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, to the body of the beautiful form of the Lord. That is so very transcendental. His tongue in tasting the tulasi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Very, very powerful. The tulasi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. We can taste it, then we are immediately spiritualized. Tulasi, seeing tulasi, touching tulasi, offering water to tulasi, circumambulating tulasi, everything is so transcendental. And if we are having tulsi to internally purify us, nothing like that. So therefore, people, I don't know, people make soap out of tulsi and rub all over the body. That is not the correct method though. Whatever I mentioned earlier are okay. His legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord. Leg is used like that. His head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desire in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. So this is simple aspect of yoga. That means engaging all your senses in yoga, which means you are not in material platform, you are in transcendence. When you are able to engage your senses. But unfortunately, the Mayavadi has no, or the impersonalist has no personal concept. They can never understand this. Therefore, they are trying to either completely negate devotional, uh, negate any engagement with material objects. Like, for example, when you see the flower, it is a material object, right? What is, either if you think, oh, this is a beautiful flower, then no, then the eye is being materially thinking, oh, therefore I should not think anything about this flower. If you want to think about the smell of the flower, oh, no, then the nose is trying to sense gratify, feel that aroma and feels, oh, this is nice. Then you immediately feel you are in bodily platform. Therefore, don't think of it. But a devotee never thinks. He sees, oh, beautiful flower. Then you immediately, that beautiful flower, why is he thinking? If this is in the, whatever, when I put it in Gauranga's hand, it becomes so beautiful. Gauranga's hand with this flower will look so nice. So he sees that beauty in that flower, but not for just that beauty of appreciated by the eye, but the object of that appreciating that beauty is to see how it can be offered to the lotus hands of Gauranga. That is nice. And the smell, when that is offered to Krishna and then you take and then smell it, that smell is so beautiful, right? Very, very wonderful smell. But that is actually offered to the Lord, and therefore it is His mercy. And therefore that smell goes through the nose and touches the brain, touches the heart, it is purified. The heart and the brain is purified. So this is so beautiful. But these people can never understand, because for them there is no form of the Lord. Then what will you are only looking at that as a flower, but we are looking at it as an object of gratification for the Lord, and therefore for us prasada. That's a big difference between that flower seen to negate or the flower seen to be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Huge difference, and you are so happy that Lord has given me this hand to pick up that flower and offer it to Him. Now, Mayavadi thinks Lord also doesn't have, and I am unnecessarily have a hand, but I am unnecessarily having a hand, so I want to give up this hand. I don't want to be having this hand, and I feel this hand is a burden. But a devotee feels this hand is a nice thing, that because of which I am able to offer it to the Lord. So you respect and you are appreciating the form, that hand, and we are able to understand this. This Mayavadi will never be able to. It says, no, this transcendental stage may be inexpressibly subjectively by the followers of impersonal bliss future. They can never express this. They can never understand this matter of how the senses can be engaged. That's the word, yukta vairagya. It was used here also, right? Yukta. Yukta vairagya means using all the material things till being renounced and offering it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is very important. So this is possible, he says, unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. So this can happen only when we are fixed up in the personal form of the Lord, not in the impersonal feature of the Lord. So because so many people, they are not having this personal form, but they want to renounce, then they take up so many, looking at the Lord as the Brahman feature. That means, oh, this mountain is God, that is God, this is God. Then they take up so many services to those things, like, okay, let me, do some things for the mountain, let me do some things for this river, let me do some things for. So for them it is a very distant way of doing devotion to the Lord. It is not very straightforward, so easy, and they get lost actually. If you see, they are all over the place. They are saying, no, I am doing service to humanity, because they don't see where to do service, so they are doing service like this. No, not that humanity service is wrong, that is very, very important. We are ourselves personally taking a lot of services from so many people who are thinking in a very nice manner and serving us. That is not the point. The point that we are talking about is considering these things as actually equivalent to the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is something which is not true. Right? It's very in a distant way. It is true, but not in a very close sense, not in a very intimate sense. That is not the way it is to be done. Or at least that is not what Krishna is saying in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we need to fix our mind in the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance. Then these things becomes easy for you to offer by nature, by impulse, you will go and offer when you see a flower. But those fellows will look at it very suspiciously. No, 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 this flower, I don't know. I don't want to get entangled in the smell and the beauty of this flower. Let me keep away from this flower. That's how you think. But you will naturally pick up, oh, very nice, let me offer it to Krishna. It comes very naturally. Whatever things that you see, you are relating it quickly back to Krishna. Oh, beautiful. If nothing, you at least think, oh, this is so beautiful by Krishna's creation, right? Even when you see a moon, you don't think, oh, I will offer this moon to Krishna, right? You can't do that. But you think, oh, how wonderful this creation of Krishna is. That's all. You relate it to Krishna, and there you are actually glorifying Krishna here. You are not gratifying by seeing the beauty of the moon for your eyes, but you are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's mentioned, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagement. That is true, right? If you don't engage your senses, that's all. You become mad if you don't engage in any of your senses. But then, therefore, even if you restrain it forcibly, after some days you fall off. You have to immediately fall down, right? After a few days of struck like that, 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, then you go and only enjoy after that. Somehow you have abstained from doing those things. From the next day, once you are thinking my vrata is over, you go and indulge in that gratification. So you have undone all the austerities you have already done in the last 5 days. We do undo the benefits of that austerity. But if you are simply engaging your senses in Krishna's service, there is no turbulence, there is no agitation of the mind. The senses of the mind require engagement. That's what Prabhupada is writing. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind as described above is the perfect process of transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in Bhagavad Gita. So this is there. So that means one has to engage in the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead's personal form. So we have, if you have the deities of the Lord, we can engage. If we have the photos of the Lord, we can engage nicely. Like this, the personal feature of the Lord. It's very, very important, and therefore we are trained, like in the Grahasthas particularly, when you are, how you can engage, because in Grahastha Ashrama allows some bit of engagement, little bit of, what do you call, indulgence, right? You are in a family environment, 3-4, husband is there, wife is there, you are working, then you okay, let's make this and eat today, little bit of, let's go, we as a family, we need to go out, we have been working hard, let's go out from there. All these things, then how can you may get drawn into this material sense gratification. How can you do that? Okay, you do these things, whatever you do for you like to eat this, okay, make that, offer it to the deity and eat. Okay, you want a holiday, you want to go and enjoy somewhere. So instead of simply going to the scenic places or whatever, you can go to the devotional places like Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka, Mayapur, like this. There are many places, Tirupati, like Srirangam, many hundreds of places, thousands of places are there all over this universe. So that way we can engage. That's called Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya. That means engaging all these senses in the service of the Lord. And of course, the next verse is concluding that, it says, as a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Therefore, one who has attained to that state, he does not waver. He is fixed up. Nothing shakes him. That means when you are so much fixed in the devotion to the Lord with all your senses, for him, after that, any amount of disturbance, any amount of temptation with material objects, he is not disturbed. He takes that flower, yes, very nice, give it to Krishna. That way. He is not at all disturbed. He is very happy. He is nicely performing devotional service, and he's fixed up. So a truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, is in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in the windless place. So if he is meditating on the worshipable Lord, nothing can shake him. I told right in the previous verse when discussing, if you are just not having this personal feature, after some time you get sort of either bored, or you are tempted, or you are irritated, and then suddenly you fall down here. But in this case, since your mind is always at the worshipable lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, while the senses are engaged in these material objects, but just to use them in the service of the Lord, he is very steady. There is no confusion, no negation, no frustration, no temptation, nothing. He is so blissfully situated in that transcendental position. So I conclude here. If there are any further points or any comments or any questions, welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, wonderful explanation. Wonderful topic, wonderful explanation. The story of Vashishta and Vishwamitra very clearly explains, and Yukta Vairagya examples how one needs to practice it, and how it's different from what other way people try to control their senses, like the followers of impersonalists and others. So how people who are practicing bhakti yoga, how they can practice yukta vairagya and benefit from it, how they are different. So yeah, that's wonderful, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Nice,
Hare Krishna.
wonderful summarization. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I like that analogy of this lamp, that windless place does not waver. That is the position of a pure devotee, or the samadhi. That's very nice. And Archana and this Yukta is very nice, very catching point. To think, engage ourselves, into Yukta. Yukta means, getting engaged all our senses into transcendental activities like that point, really very nice. And Archana means engaging all our senses for the service of the Lord. Like like Ambrish Maharaj, how you mentioned, how he engaged all his senses. It is very, very nice. And the yogi, especially in the Kali Yuga, mostly about the sex desire and something you told, that is he crossed that kama and then krodha. There's something.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Hare Krishna. Nice observations. Thank you very much. Good finding the key words. Nice. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay. So little less devotees today. I don't know, everybody in vacation or what, I don't know. I hope it is Yatra. I know one family is in Tirupati Yatra. So, anyway. Nice. Okay, so thank you all for being patiently engaging and listening. Last almost 1 hour 45 minutes or 1 hour 50 minutes, or including the Kirtan, maybe 1 hour. Almost 2 hours. Yeah. So thank you all very much. Maybe we can connect again next week. In between, of course, we, as always, we have our daily chanting. I think most of you here are joining chanting sessions or the reading session or both. So I'm sure it is improving our consciousness, right, every day. At least one if we are able to take part, and of course both if we can, nothing like it. But some people laugh, so many things. Either morning I can't or evening I can't. But even if somehow we engage in one portion or the other, I think it gives a lot of what do you call tonic to handle the rest of the material. I won't say material at this when devotees there's a more engaged, even that Yukta Vairagya is there also. But it gives a little bit of freshness from a personal point of view, right? Personal service to the Lord is directly chanting, directly hearing the glories of the pure devotees of the Lord through reading or the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So thank you all very much, and let's try to make that also very nice. Like many devotees actively participating and taking the bliss. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees on YouTube, for joining the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.